I mention that is because I'm able to get to your school not because of a car, but rather because of a book. You want to hear my story? True story. It's part of my never to be published autobiography. Here's the story. When I was in kindergarten, we went next door into the next classroom one afternoon. I didn't know why. I sat down on the floor and this guy was standing in front of us. I had never seen the guy before. He had these weird looking gadgets and contraptions, pretty handkerchiefs and a table. This guy was a magician. I had never seen a magician in my entire life. I sat there watching that guy's show in the front row and I was going like this the entire time. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I ran home at the end of the day. I said, Mom and Dad, I want to be a magician. You know what Mom and Dad said? Well, we don't know any magic tricks. Why don't you go tell Mrs. Pratt, your kindergarten teacher? Next day, I got on the bus. I went to school. Mrs. Pratt, I want to be a magician. She said, well, we don't do magic in kindergarten class. Why don't you tell the librarian what you're thinking about? Mrs. Librarian lady, I want to be a magician. You know what she said? She said, come with me. Oh, what? Now I'm thinking, this lady's gonna give me magic tricks, right? I'm in kindergarten. I say to this lady, I wanna be a magician. She says, come with me, okay? I start to follow her, and I think she's got a magic hat, she's got a bunny rabbit, she has a mustache, she has a cape and a magic wand. And so we go down this aisle, and she starts to do this, and she puts her glasses on, and she starts to go like this, then she reaches into the shelf, and she pulls out a book! A stinking book! Do you think I wanted a stinking book? I wanted magic tricks. I took this book home and I threw it on the kitchen table. My dad walked in and said, dude, what is your problem? I said, stinking book. My dad walked over and he picked up the book and he said, oh. Then he shut the book and put it back down on the table. My dad walked out of the room without saying a word. I thought he was mad too. I thought he was going to call the librarian and yell at her. But you know what he did? He came back in the room with a piece of paper and a quarter. Then he folded the quarter into the paper. I had no idea what he was doing. And then he tore the paper up and the quarter disappeared. I couldn't believe it. I said, Dad, how'd you do the magic trick? You know what he said? Stinking book. It's a magic book. I had never seen magic books in my entire life. I was only in kindergarten. I couldn't even read. My dad could read. We put this book under my pillow. We threw the blankets on top of it. We hid it from my brother. We hid it from my sister. I didn't want them reading this book. Every night for about a week, my dad would come into my room. We would lock the door and we would read this book together. We did magic tricks and it was awesome. By the time I was in second grade, I had memorized every magic trick in my school library. Every magic book I had checked out twice, 3, 5 times. I started going to other libraries, checking out magic books, and guess what? Eventually, I made my dream come true. I've been driving around town since 1987, doing nothing but acting like a big goofball doing magic tricks. And it's awesome! You guys, the reason I tell you that story is very simple. You might not want to be a magician, but maybe one day you want to learn to be a professional snowboarder. Check out a book from the library. Or maybe on Saturday, you want to make the best brownies in the world. You can check out a book from the library. Or maybe one day one of you wants to be a belly dancer. You can check out a book from the library. And maybe one day one of you wants to learn how to fix the leaky roof up there. That's where the water's coming in from. It's been rainy and dreary all day. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, you guys. I'm going to stop by your library before I leave, and I'm going to hide the magic books. I don't want you guys figuring out all my secrets. Maybe you'll beat me there. You guys were a great audience. Give yourselves all a big round of applause. Teachers, they're all yours. Stay seated. Wait for your instructions. We'll see you again. Bye, everybody.